Hey YouTube, this is Louis J. DiPaolo Jr., not LJ Smüth. It's important we clarify. And this is the Raw Thoughts vlog. Today is January 23rd, 2019. I thought 2017 in my head. 2019, we're in 2019. So it might not be 10 minutes, we might make it a little short. I have 3 questions for you I'd like to see if you have an answer to, because I'm trying to ponder it myself. Question number 1, what makes a friendship a friendship? How do friendships form? Like, what is a friendship by definition? I guess I was really pondering the question, and as you leave high school, right, you kind of get on from this first group of friends, and now you're in a different world. And then you leave college and you get on from this group of friends, and then you're in a different world. And there's people that you hang on to, and there's people that you don't. There's people that you care about, there's people that you don't. And I guess really in the moment, like, proximity has to play a part in it, right? Like, being physically near someone has to definitely influence a friendship. But what makes a friendship a friendship? By the way, I regret putting creamer in the coffee. Bad decision. I prefer drinking black. I don't like all the sweeteners and all the things, but I had like a little caramel peppermint on it or something. I figured I'd try it. No. What makes a friendship friendship? I have a theory. And my theory, right or wrong, tell me what you think. My theory is that friendships form because people have the same problems. All right, that's my theory. I think friendships form because people have the same problems. I am concerned about paying my rent. That is a problem for me. That is something that doesn't give me stress, but it's definitely something that I think about. How am I going to pay my rent? That's always a thought. How am I going to clear my debt? How am I going to pay my rent? Bill Gates doesn't think about paying his rent. Mark Cuban doesn't think about paying his rent. And I think there's a reason that we're not friends yet. We're not friends. How do I pay my rent? And when I start to evaluate all of my friendships, I realize, wow, I'm not saying that it's the reason friendships form, right? Problems. I'm not saying it's the reason friendships form, but I have certainly noticed that if I evaluate all of my friendships, I notice that in many of them we have the same problems. Very, very rarely, do you see somebody who has $20 in their bank account and they're making minimum wage. Very rarely do you see them being friends and hanging out and spending all their time with millionaires. It's just not likely. I think it's more likely that you find people in the same boat as you. And even in sales, they always say, like, relate to the person's problem. Point out a problem and then relate to the person's problem. Somebody tells you, oh, I'm tired of all these customers sending me these emails about their promotions, blah, 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 blah. And then as a salesman, my job is to say, oh, me too. I hate those promo emails. And what about the ones that say happy holidays, yada, yada, yada. I don't want your holiday sale. And that is a sales trick, is to relate to people's problems so you put yourselves on the same boat. If somebody says, I hate all these Christmas emails, and you say, I never get those emails, you're not relatable. It's relatable to relate to people's problems. Why do friendships form? Do friendships form because people have the same problems? I want to know what you think. That's my theory. But I want to know what you think, because I know you're smart and you have an opinion on it. Second question is looking in a little bit down the road, in the foreseeable future, when artificial intelligence becomes more human-like in our daily lives, right? My question is, where will they sleep? Where will the artificial intelligence sleep? If you think that they haven't entered our lives yet, I would challenge that notion, and I would say Alexa. Look at Alexa. if I wanted to sell the concept of artificial intelligence to somebody, and I wanted to sell somebody humanoid, right? A robot, so to speak, that had humanoid features. They were built like a human, they walk like a human, talk like a human. How would I go about getting that into somebody's home as a businessman? How would I sell that to somebody? Well, chances are nobody today is ready, mentally and emotionally prepared for artificial intelligence that looks just like them to be walking around their house. Even if they're cleaning their dishes, nobody's gonna wanna see that. That will freak people out. So what would I do? I would make it cute. I would make it cute and I would make it lovable. Make it like a little speaker. Oh, hey, Alexa, blah, 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 blah. I think maybe something to watch out for, they're gonna be the cleaning machines. You know, when you start to get cleaning machines, like little vacuums, and they have legs walking around, and you can automate your voice to give them certain commands, I think that's when we'll start to really see the lifelike artificial intelligence enter into our normal, everyday household culture. But still, the question is, where will they sleep? Because if they are just purely synthetics, if they're robots, if they don't need, you know, a big bed to lay out on, if that's just a humanly luxury, could you just put them in like a big room and fold them up like a pizza box and just stack them on top of each other? Or is that more like, you know, stacking them on top of each other? Does that feel more like slavery, like a slave ship? We'll do a video on it, but I do have a theory that we will eventually have to broaden our definition of people. What does it mean to be a person? I think person is now going to have to umbrella humans and artificial intelligence under one category. I do think that's where we're going. And I think there'll be a civil rights movement just as the same for minorities and black people. I think there will be a civil rights movement for artificial intelligence, but that is a different topic. So the first question, how do friendships form? That's our first question. Second question is, where will the artificial intelligence sleep? Right? If we want to assimilate them into our society, God created man in God's image. Man created artificial intelligence in man's image. We didn't create them to look like God. We created them to look like us. So where will they sleep? It's interesting. It's kind of, it seems silly, but if you just really think about it logistically, it'll definitely have a cultural and social impact on us. The third question, let me have another drink of this gross, disgusting. Circling back to our first one of how do friendships form? We talked about one possible theory is that they form because you have the same problems. Assume that's true just for our third question. Say you get to a point in life where you outgrow that problem, and thus you are outgrowing that friendship. Assuming that person hasn't changed or still stuck on that. Third question is, how do you show compassion for somebody while you're trying to disassociate from them? How do you show compassion to somebody that you're trying to disassociate with? You see, if there's somebody, a stranger that you meet on the street, and you're not a fan of the things they do, the way they look, something they say, okay, you don't have to associate with them. And that's just kind of easy because there was never a relationship. But what happens when there is a relationship and you want to disassociate from somebody, you realize that you're better off moving in different directions. How do you continue to show compassion for that person when in the same time mentally you are trying to cut off the attachment, so to speak? It's tough. It's not as easy as you think, because like logically I would just say put yourself in their shoes, think about how they're thinking. But at the same point, there is a reason you make the decision to disassociate. By the way, to decide means to cut off. That is the origin of the word to decide, to cut off. It's a very strong word, to decide to do something, to cut off. So think about those three questions. One, our first question was, How am I drawing a blank? Oh, the first question is, how do friendships form? The second question is, where will the artificial intelligence sleep? The third question is, how do you show compassion for somebody that you're trying to disassociate with? Let me know. Louis J. DiPaolo Jr., January 23rd. All right, I love you. Let me know, let me know, let me know, let me know, let me know.